Hello everybody, Andy here again. Recently I did a video and I can't remember what it was called. I happened to mention in that the word homogenisation, and I said I was going to do a video about it. And this is one of those topics that's been sitting around in the notebook for quite some time. It all comes about from a program that I watched about a guy travelling across America, and the idea was that he was going to try and travel across America and use the old-fashioned stores, the old sort of gas stations that you've got over there, the sort of bed and breakfast guest house type of places that you've got, but the family owned ones rather than the big conglomerations. As I said, it's that sort of sparked this idea, but it's one of those things that you probably all noticed over here in Britain now. From when I was a kid, you know, you used to walk down the high street of your local town, or even your village for that matter, a city, it doesn't matter really, and we all had family-owned shops, whether it be a butcher's, baker's, candlestick makers, as we used to say, a supermarket, a grocery store, it doesn't matter what it was. Everything generally was family-owned. Now, if you walk down a high street in Britain, it probably wouldn't matter whether you're in the north of the country, the south of the country, in a city, in a town, it doesn't matter. Every single high street looks pretty much exactly the same. If you go into what you would class as a shopping mall in America, if you go into one of those over here, mostly it's the same shops in every single one, and they are the same. It's homogenisation, everything's the same. The big conglomerations buy up all the stores and they get all, you know, we talk about sort of places like Starbucks, and they turn up on every corner and all this sort of thing. The old-fashioned coffee houses as they were are disappearing. One thing in that particular program, there was a store in one of your old soda fountain type places in America, up in the Seattle area I think it was. And a wonderful bit, it looked an absolutely amazing place, family owned for 50, 100 years or whatever it was, and he happened to be there the day it shut because of all the competition from all the big boys out there. And I think that's a real pity. It's the whole way of life has disappeared. But that cuts across to everything else. You can look at it now from all aspects of life, whether we look at movies, for example, films. Nowadays, all the films seem the same. There's not a lot of original content nowadays in films. So many sequels, you know, the same sort of, they have a sort of a series because it's marketing, because the whole sort of marketing side of it is to do with money. So much money is made not about the film itself, but the other sort of trade-offs that you get from it, the t-shirts, the games, the CDs, the soundtracks and all that sort of thing. And it becomes a product, it becomes a brand even, shall we say, that some of these films, so they create them and you get number 2, number 3, number 4, or because of the lack of original content or original thought, what you get are remakes of old films, and they change them. So many of them now, and I mean, I used to go to I've never been an enormous film buff or anything, but I used to go quite a lot, take quite a lot of interest. But nowadays, I hardly ever. I can't remember the last time I actually went to see a film, actually in a cinema. I'll watch a few DVDs, but even then, if I do watch films, I tend to watch older films. Some films appeal to me, but there aren't very many of them. I think it's the same even with books nowadays, with music as well. Books, you see the same sort of thing. Someone comes out with what is a pretty original idea, and before you know it, the whole market is flooded with a load of copycat books. I know that that's something that's probably happened before. The same with music as well. You get an original band come out, and suddenly all the other record companies jump on the bandwagon. Everyone wants a piece of that action because they think it's the next big thing. So many bands now, the bigger bands that we've got now, if they, from say 20 years ago, who are still going, I can name a few like U2, R.E.M., bands like that type of people who've been around for a long time, you can bet your life if they were starting now, they probably wouldn't be in existence. If you don't have a success with your first album, you're not allowed to grow, you're not allowed to put that original thought out there. And if people do sign new acts, it tends to be acts that conform to a certain niche in the market, should we say. It's only the sort of ordinary sort of new personal record labels, should we say, personal record shops that sell different types of music, and we don't get to hear it. And another point about that, another thing that brought it home to me, there's a couple of radio stations over here in the UK, digital radio stations, and a big thing's been made about putting sort of digital out there, whether it be TV signals. They're gradually being shut off, as I know they are. Sorry, the analogue's being shut off, as I know they are in other countries as well. Digital radio's coming online now, hasn't been as successful as they wanted, and a couple of the stations that they brought up. One was a classic rock station, this is countrywide, and one was a jazz station. And because they didn't conform to the norm, because they conformed to a fairly niche market, both very, very well respected stations. And I listened to the rock one myself, and I can say it's a good station. It's not perfect, but it's there. I mean, I know you're lucky in places like America, in the States, that you've got stations around. It's a strange way of licensing and broadcasting over here, which I can't go into at the moment. It'd take too long. But these stations, because they weren't doing so good, the big company that owned the whole group of stations, and they own 20 odd 30 stations, you know, they don't care. They just want that sort of boring, bland radio station, and so they were going to shut these stations down. The jazz station has shut down, and I think that's a great pity. I'm not a big jazz fan, but that conformed to a niche market. It was, as I said, very well respected, even won honours, I think. That the rock station won awards, sort of radio awards. Thankfully, that's been taken over now by someone with a bit of money who actually understands. I was talking to a DJ friend of mine who runs another radio station, a small internet station, and he actually went to this particular classic rock station in the UK, and he said the DJs are great. He went to the offices, those guys, they love their music, that's what it's all about. They know their music, they love their music, they're passionate about it, they're knowledgeable about it. He said, but the managers, the people who are running the station, who own the station, they've got no idea what they're talking about. And I think that's just so symptomatic of what the world's like nowadays. It's all to do with money, it's all to do with branding, marketing and that type of thing. And that's one of the things that I like about sort of something like YouTube. It's giving so many people, me, anybody, the opportunity to put things out there, the sort of the cult of the amateur. We can put our things out there, and it's so much better. That's why we're watching this rather than watching TV. Another example, TV has become homogenised. It's the same sort of formulaic episodes of this, that, and a good program comes out that's pretty original, and all the copycats come along. You get the sort of same genres, and it's just boring, basically, isn't it? And then you get the dumbing down side, which is as another issue altogether. We all think we've got the attention spans of a gnat or something like that. No one can watch a video more than 5 minutes, and if you're one of them, you're probably turned off already, because that isn't what I do. And that's what's good about YouTube. It allows us to expand. It allows us to put our thoughts out there and actually develop an argument, rather than have to do it and condense it down into 3 minutes so that it's a bite-sized chunk that can be used by the normal media. Anyway, I've probably gone on for too long, but who cares? I don't. Be interested to know what your thoughts are on this. If you've noticed it, if you've got any examples. It's something that annoys me, because I think it's dumbing down culture. It's not allowing original thought, original content, original people to actually flourish and get their ideas out there. But that's one thing that the internet does do. That's something that YouTube does do, but we're only a small part. Unfortunately, big media are trying to get involved in the internet, YouTube and all the other places, because we're doing something different and they don't like it. Anyway, thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.